Good evening, everyone. Hey, hi, and hello. Welcome to another Talk It Up Tuesday. I am Katrina Jackson, HEAV Convention Director, and I am still very much excited. I'm really excited now because we only have, I think the countdown is we're 71 days away from convention. So yay. Thank you for joining us tonight. We're going to give a little time for everyone to jump on and hear our amazing guest that we have tonight, a very much crowd favorite, Dr. Amy Moore. She'll be joining us shortly. But before we do that, of course, housekeeping, right? Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you to all of our sponsors. Thank you to all of our members. Thank you to all who are supportive and have already registered for the convention for this year. We're super excited to bring you hope. And that is our theme for this year from Romans 15 and 13, and that you will abound in hope. And so tonight we're hoping to give you even more of that if you're at a place where you just need to hear some additional information about what you can do to help your neurodivergent learner, your child who may have some sensory processing. I have one of those who just needs that additional help with focusing, and we're going to bring you some of that tonight. Get excited about it. And there's going to be an amazing giveaway. So you want to make sure that you stay on so that you can hear what that is. So welcome to Talk It Up Tuesday, where we give you all things convention and we give you all of the hype and buzz about convention details and updates. You already know that we've announced our third and final keynote speaker, Bethany Hamilton, and that we're super excited about what else is going to be happening at convention this year. But the first day of convention, if you've never registered before for the full 3 days, Thursday is our special needs conference. And this is where we set aside time to address the needs of families who have students who are, again, neurodivergent in learning. And I probably need to work on my terminology because I don't know them all. And so I won't try to pretend like I do. I have an expert who's going to be able to tell you all of those things. But anyone that you have that has a special need in your home, any of your children, again, I have a sensory processing disorder diagnosis with one of my sons, and I'm excited about this because it gives us a opportunity to find additional resources or think about different things that we can do that help them to focus and help them to learn and to thrive, truly thrive in what they in their education. And so thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. We want to give a special shout out to the sponsor of the hour, which is LearningRx. They are one of our convention sponsors, and they are a regular sponsor for many years. We're so appreciative of what they do and what they offer and the services that they provide. And you're going to get to hear more about that tonight. But in the meantime, do me a favor, drop in the comments where you're watching from. Shout out your state, rep your city. Where are you texting, or not texting, but where are you joining us from? I am in Williamsburg. Yay. Shout out to the colonial city. Go ahead and let us know where you're coming from, and I'll make sure I shout those out. Any questions that you have throughout the night for during Dr. Amy's presentation, and we do have another special guest, which we'll announce in a little bit, who will be joining us this evening. And let us know if you have any questions that they can answer for you tonight. Hi, Kimberly. Where are you coming from? Let us know in the comments what questions you have. And the beauty of it is, if you don't get to hear your question answered here, they will be at the convention. So June 5th through the 7th, if you haven't registered already, now is the time. Go ahead and get that registration in. The clock is ticking. And we want to make sure that you get what your family needs. And there is something for all of you. If you've watched any of the previous Talk It Up Tuesdays, you know that there are so many things. Like, all the things are going on at the convention, our music competition, and then tonight, Norfolk. All right. Hi, Kathy. Coming in from Norfolk, Williamsburg. Hey, Hannah. That's one of my co-op friend, bestie moms. Yay. So exciting. And so come on in, family. Let us know where you're coming from. And again, tonight's Talk It Up is dedicated to our special needs conference, which is on Thursday of the convention. And after registration is open at 10 o'clock, you will have our keynote by Dr. Amy Moore. So let's go ahead and bring her on out. Hi, Dr. Amy. Thank you for being with us tonight. Introduce yourself, even though we already know who you are.
Thanks, Katrina. It's super hard to follow you because you're so high energy.
I'm sorry. I tried to tone it
No,
down.
don't apologize at all. I love it. I'm sure that everyone joining us loves it too. So I am a cognitive psychologist. I'm the director of psychology and research at LearningRx World Headquarters in Colorado Springs. That's the headquarters of the largest network of cognitive training centers in the world. I'm also a licensed pastor, a board certified Christian counselor, and a child development specialist. And I was a teacher before I became a psychologist. And I made that transition because I recognized that we were missing something in the way that we were teaching kids. And I needed to help be a part of figuring that out, not just the question, but also I wanted to be part of the solution too.
I love it. I am very much a solutions focused person. If we have lots of problems, but how do we fix them? Right.
Sure.
So thank God for you and the fix that you're applying to helping us understand cognitive development in our children and how to best serve them and help them and meet those needs that they have. So the icebreaker question was, what is something that people may not know about you? But I think I did not know you were previously a teacher. So that's cool to know because it gives that perspective. There's a balance there of public school education and homeschooling. And so what is something that people may not know about you, though? What's something fun?
I'm such an open book that I'm always surprised when people are surprised that they didn't know something about me. But I think the most recent development is when I turned 50, I decided that life is too short to wear uncomfortable shoes. And so I got rid of every pair of high heels in my closet and I replaced them all with Converse. So I'm up to about 31 pairs of Converse.
Wow. Now that is a collection I would like to see. I have flat feet, so I can't wear them. They look terrible, but I love it because after 34, I got rid of all of my, well, I didn't really stop wearing them all, but I was pregnant at 34 for the first time. And let me tell you, heels was not a thing.
Right?
Anymore. Not after that first one, not ever anymore. So maybe on occasion, but that's amazing. Yeah. You actually got rid of your heels, I think.
All of them. I did not keep one pair, not one pair.
Because we hold that one pair in reserve, like, okay, I'm going to wear these one day.
Nope. I bought black patent Converse high tops if I ever need to wear a formal dress.
Wow. Okay. I was already impressed, but as you can see, people, Dr. Moore I love it. The solutions, you figured it out. And let's go back to the part of her saying she's 50. Yeah, where? But okay.
I'm almost 55.
Oh my goodness.
But my camera has this nice, touch up your appearance toggle.
I'm not buying it. You're gorgeous, but and not just in appearance, but also in what you're doing for families and the research that you've done and the progress that you've made with LearningRx in just so many things. And so we want to hear all about that tonight. So families, if you're here with us, please let us know where you're coming from. Stay around because they have something very special to offer you that is very, very exciting. And I couldn't hold my excitement about that. It really is going to be awesome. So stick around for that. But the first question that we have tonight is, what's the most common concern you come across from parents of special needs kids?
Yeah, the most common concern isn't about the child. It's about the parent's capacity for raising a child with special needs. And so, so that is the most common complaint, concern, panicked conversation after a diagnosis that I hear is, how do I do this? What do I do? Right. Where do I go? Who do I talk to? And is this going to be forever?
Yeah, that's really good. And I that's not the answer I was expecting. And and especially because I do have a sensory processing kid, and it does affect his cognition, I believe. When we've done the OT, if you're any parents like that, or you've done all the things, you go through the gamut of the diagnosing, you go through, and I've had him assessed twice to be sure he wasn't on the spectrum. I've had we did occupational therapy, we've done speech therapy. He didn't need a speech therapy because they said that he doesn't have the inability and inability or learning disability about speaking. It's just that he has cluttering. So when his brain is working faster than his mouth. So he clutters his words, and that translates to his reading. He skips words as he's reading, and then that translates to his writing because he skips words as he's writing because he's not able to get all of that communication out. And so as a parent who is like, okay, it doesn't frustrate me so much as it's just, what do I do? What are all the things that I can do to help him? So when you said that, I'm like, oh, that is the question. That is actually, because we want to do everything that we can. A good parent does, right? Want to do everything that we can to help our kids truly thrive. And so to hear you say that, that was amazing. I don't know if anyone had a moment like I did, but thank you for that, because that helps put in perspective for the parents that if they're in a place where they feel like they can't, there's an answer for that. There's a solution. What are some of the solutions, just an off question, that you would apply to what they can do to increase their capacity?
Yeah, I think it's important for us to be consumers of as much knowledge as possible. And I know I have 3 children. They're all adults now, but they all had uh, alphabet soups of diagnostic labels after their names. And so one of the first things that Jeff and I did when our oldest was diagnosed with ADHD and Tourette syndrome and anxiety disorder was just consume as much knowledge about that diagnosis as we could, so that we at least had a baseline of, okay, that's the definition. That's what to expect. These are the symptoms. This is what it looks like. And some just mainstream ideas of where to start. And then you start looking at specialists. Then you start asking the questions, right? So we need to create this strong foundation, this supportive foundation in the home. And then we can say, all right, I'm noticing that this is a large pain point for my child or for our family. So now I'm going to drill a little deeper on this particular issue. And so we can't expect to fix everything all at once, right? We can't expect to attack all of the problems and all of the pain points all at once. We have to do one thing at a time for the most part, but consume all the information you can possibly consume.
That's so good. I'm furiously taking notes because
and actually, can I put a caveat to that?
Please.
So there, with the internet and with social media, there's a lot of information out there that is not based in fact and is not grounded in research. And so I think it's super important, once we've collected all of this information, to say, okay, is there research to support this intervention, for example? And what does that research show? And is that research specific to that intervention? Or are they just using basic science to say, well, we know neuroplasticity exists, therefore this probably should work, right? No, You want to see research on the particular interventions that you're exploring, so that you know that there's some science behind it, that it's been validated by other scientists in the field, because those research studies have been published in medical journals, for example. And it'll just give you, as a parent, peace of mind that, okay, I'm exploring something that somebody says has merit.
Right. We're wanting to avoid the rabbit hole by making sure that we're looking at the peer-reviewed article versus Wikipedia.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And while I think TikTok is full of a whole lot of great information and Instagram is full of a whole lot of great information, be careful about the source, right? Who is the one speaking, and what research are they referencing?
Right. So what I'm hearing as I take notes in this is that we want to do our research. We want to make sure that we understand, comprehend truly what we're dealing with each of our children. And by creating a firm foundation for ourselves, I'm thinking of this as like putting on my oxygen mask first, so that I make sure that I understand well, then I'm able to communicate well with my child about what that diagnosis means for them and what, challenges they may face while they're figuring it out. We're figuring it out together. And then we learn not just a baseline for the diagnosis, but for that child. You learn a baseline for where your child fits within the I guess, I don't know if spectrum is the appropriate word, but
Sure.
within the parameters of what
Yes,
that
spectrum with a
child.
small s. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Mhm.
So next question is, what is a grace-based approach to parenting?
So I think that's a phenomenal segue from where we were, right? We were
Right,
talking about how we have to put our own oxygen mask on first. And so when we think about grace, what is grace? It's that gift of kindness and support and
right,
patience and favor that God shows us when we haven't earned it because we can't earn it, right? So if we are called to be stewards of God's grace, ambassadors of God's grace, if we're made in his image and he shows grace unconditionally and abundantly to all of his children, why would we not at least try to show that kind of grace to our own children, right? Why would we not at
right,
least try? And so, grace based parenting, or my approach is called parenting with grace in mind. It's that recognition that the parent child relationship starts with us, not with our child.
right,
And so, everything we do comes out of this place of making sure that our decisions are God honoring, parent honoring, child honoring, but also brain based, because we have to manage our expectations. We have to look at making sure that we're building connections, that we're being flexible, that we're staying open to all possibilities, that we're building skills. Dr. Ross Green says children do well when they can. And so we
mhm,
have to recognize, do they have the skills to do this thing that we're expecting? And if they don't, that's what discipleship is all about, right?
that's
Is teaching our kids or training our kids or giving them the skills, modeling the skills that they need. But I think the important thing to recognize is we cannot access grace when we're emotionally dysregulated.
mm,
Our prefrontal cortex, the reasoning portion of our brain, goes offline when we're emotionally dysregulated. And that ability to show grace to our child requires the skill of reasoning, right? Because we're starting to get
right,
upset and we have to be able to say, I don't think my child has the skill to do the right thing right now. So I need to take a breath, right? Lower the temperature on what's happening inside me so
right.
that I can address this situation with the grace that my child deserves because God gives it to us. And so that is the premise of parenting with grace in mind. And I have a
That's
book coming out on the whole approach.
awesome. Well, I can't wait to see that when that comes out because
Well,
I
and the
will
keynote
be.
is on parenting with grace in mind, the keynote on Thursday. So
Yes.
I'll go into a lot more of those.
When is the book release? Is
Well,
there a date?
I'm running 4 months behind where I was hoping to be. So we're looking at the end of summer.
Okay. Well, it's
Yeah.
going to be right on time when it does
Yeah.
drop.
Here's the
So we
draft right here.
oh, lucky you. That's a lot of pages. But what you're saying is beautiful and definitely. And I was even thinking how that compares to what the gentle parenting approach is. But I love the grace-based approach because as a believer, we that is how we should be operating. Is if the Bible says that the world will know us by the love we show each other, certainly our children will know us by the love we show them. And I usually, I let my kids know love looks differently. If you're running into the middle of the street, it may yell at you to come back.
Absolutely. I mean, safety is not negotiable.
Right.
Right.
But when we're in a learning moment and we're wanting to make sure that we're not getting unnecessarily frustrated because we've been over the same concept or same thing several times, remembering that the child is still developing in their understanding of whatever it is that we're trying to teach them. And so I like how you said lower the temperature within ourselves so that we don't just lose it basically.
Right.
um
And
and
emotions are contagious, right? We
right.
have these smart cells called mirror neurons. And so it's why you yawn when you see someone else yawn.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
so emotions work the same way. That part of the brain gets activated in our brain when we're interacting with someone who is emotionally hijacked themselves. And so if we're going to help our children regulate their emotions, we got to be a hold of ours too.
That's really good. And that's probably going to be the most effective way to make sure that learning actually takes place, because otherwise.
Right. Learning can't occur when we're emotionally hijacked. It just can't. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. The truth. And I've witnessed it for myself.
Well, how about we all? I mean, right?
So this is good admonishment. Yes, receiving it all. And as we actually transition to the next question, we have another special guest with us this evening that we're going to go ahead and bring on out now. Dargan Kokshul, if you don't mind joining us this evening, sir. Hi, how are you?
Hey, Katrina. Hey, Dr. Amy.
Hey, Dargan.
Hi, we're so excited for you to be here with us as well. So guys, I told you that we'd have another special guest, and we're really excited about him. I'm going to let him introduce himself, and go ahead, Dargan, let us know who you are.
Yeah, my name's Dargan, and when you have a name like Dargan, it's like Madonna or Prince, right? You've never met another one, so you don't even have to get in. You see the thing in my nameplate, the long last name? You don't even have to go there, because I'm the only one.
Everybody knows who Dargan is.
Everybody knows who Dargan is. Yeah, I am the owner and director of the LearningRx Center in Charlottesville, and I've been responsible for corralling the 7 Virginia centers to be supportive of HEAV and the conference, for the special needs conference, for the last 3 or 4 years, I guess. We've been the primary lead sponsor. We have been very supportive of homeschooling in Virginia. We actually are sponsoring the Leader Life event this weekend in Charlottesville of all the co-op leaders. So if anyone on the call has their leadership going to that event, you can find us there. But yeah, we're a number of cognitive training, brain training centers throughout Virginia that work with hundreds of homeschool students over the last 15 years that we've been in operation here in Virginia. So we're happy to be here. We're happy that Dr. Amy keeps getting called back to the conference to pass her wisdom on. And yeah, anything we can do to promote homeschooling and the success of the home educators who are struggling with their learner, that's what we're called to do.
Well, let me join the Dargan fan club and just thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for what you've been doing for homeschooling families. And I like that, and their learners, for the many years that you've been in service with LearningRx and supporting HEAV. We really appreciate that. I've not been here that long, but I've been a big fan of HEAV when I first started homeschooling in 2019, and they just have it so well laid out. And you guys help to make sure that we have the resources available immediately at the click of buttons on the website to jump right over to you guys and get any assistance that we need with our special needs learners. So thank you again for your support and for being here tonight, to both of you. The next question in our lineup is, LearningRx has sponsored our special needs conference, as we just said, and tend to associate it with special needs. But what is brain training, and is it appropriate for kids without special needs?
You want me to take that, or do you want to take that?
You take it. You're the star.
Except that Dargan is, like I said earlier, he's the boots on the ground, right? He's in one of our, 80 centers all day, every day, actually delivering brain training. But brain training at LearningRx is a set of intentional cognitive training procedures. They're game-like, so we make it fun for kids, but they're hands-on. We use manipulatives, highly interactive. We sit one-on-one across a table from every client or student that we have. And so we use over 100 different training tasks to target skills that we use all day, every day for thinking and learning. So skills like attention, memory, processing speed, reasoning, auditory processing, visualization. Those are all skills that we need in order to be strong learners and fast thinkers. And so we start with an assessment that Dargan will talk about in a few minutes, so that we can get an idea of what those strengths and weaknesses are for every client that comes to us. And then we can customize a program with one of these 100 or so training tasks that really work on remediating those weak cognitive skills in order to give kids and adults the best chance at thinking and learning. But we pace every single procedure with a metronome, which makes it very intense. And so there are no mental breaks. We like to call it creating a mental sweat, but it's carefully sequenced, loaded, complex, and again, like I said, human delivered. So it's not your typical, when you think of a brain game, you're thinking of an app on your phone or a game on the computer. Right. This is a human delivered intervention in a learning center or clinic.
That sounds amazing. And tonight you guys also have a special offering for our viewers, which is, Dargan, would you like to speak to that?
Sure. So in advance of the special needs conference, all of the attendees for the event tonight, we would like to offer a free standardized cognitive skills assessment that can be taken on the computer. It takes about 40 minutes for your child to do it, and it will give you a profile, a cognitive skills profile, strengths and weaknesses that likely indicate why they're struggling in certain areas, and then exhibiting the behaviors, the frustration because of those weaknesses or deficits. So you'll get a formal report, and you'll have the opportunity to, if you have concerns and you want to immediately address them after the report, we would contact anyone to get an appointment with one of the directors to go over the results, to talk about symptomatically, but just like you described about your child, what does it sound like? What does it look like? What is he doing? And if we can link those everyday life observations to what you see on the test, it's incredibly enlightening, and then empowers you to either do something about it or adopt this grace-based parenting, because you know more about your learner and your struggling learner, and you have more compassion. And so it's a standardized clinical assessment. It's research supported, and you can buy it online. It's called the Digital Gibson Test, and you can buy it for, I think, $100, Dr. Amy, or something like that. And so we would like to offer that as a free gift for any of the families attending. And you can either speak with a director about those results if you want to have a more personal consultation and conversation, or you can walk up to us at convention and say, hey, I have these concerns, and fire some questions at us. I mean, we don't want to obviously reveal personal information, but we're happy to answer kind of general questions. But anyway, I would take advantage of it. If you don't know why your learner is struggling, it will be very informative, and it will actually change the way you parent, the way you discipline, the compassion you have when you understand the thinking skills that go into the homeschooling session. And so
it actually builds empathy. When you see a report and you say, oh my goodness, my child's attention skill is in the 15th percentile for his age group, no wonder he's struggling to complete an hour-long activity or assignment at the dining room table, right? No wonder. And so I think that you get these amazing aha moments as a parent right? When you say, oh my goodness, my child's processing speed is so low. No wonder it's taking him so long to do this work, right? Or my child's reasoning scores are really low. His percentiles under the 20th percentile. No wonder he's struggling with math, right? His auditory processing skills are really low. His word attack skills are really low. No wonder reading is a struggle. And so it builds this empathy, but then it also gives you information. Remember, we talked about be a consumer of information.
Right.
And you say, okay, now I see what I'm seeing at home. And now there's an opportunity to figure out what to do next. And the cool part about our cognitive training, we also have reading and math programs as well that are delivered through that same cognitive training approach, is we can come right into your dining room over Zoom. And so for those families who don't live near one of our centers, we do the exact same training program, the exact same intervention over Zoom. And we have a clinical research study that shows equivalence. So the outcomes there were no statistically significant differences in the outcomes between people who didn't live near a center and got the program over Zoom versus those who went in person. So it's a great alternative if you don't live near a center.
Most of our, in Virginia, most of our HEAV students that with families we're working with, they tend to be more rural and not necessarily near. So a majority of my HEAV students out of Charlottesville they never even come to the center.
Or you have 2 or 3 kids around your dining room table that you're homeschooling, right? Yeah. And so you can't drive one of them to the LearningRx Center while your other 2 are still needing you, right? So then you get to say, hey, it's LearningRx time for Sam, and pop them up in front of the laptop.
I'm almost having a moment of overwhelm. Let's go to a question that we have. Dargan, what was the name of the assessment you just
It's
mentioned?
The Gibson Test on Cognitive Skills. And so, you can read about it at gibsontest.com, but use that QR code because that's how you'll get it for free through Dargan and the Virginia centers.
Yes.
So first is thank you for the generosity of this free gift, because this is amazing. And what I think every parent can take home is that no matter if you have a child who has special needs, especially if you have a child with special needs, this is something that will help take the tears and frustration out of learning disabilities, or I like to say challenges, not necessarily a disability. They're able. It's just a matter of doing the work to figure out where the challenges are so that you can overcome them, right? But if you do have a child that doesn't have them, you can still build up that child's cognition and cognitive functioning and get them to a place that there may be a lag somewhere that you haven't picked up on. And it sounds like this is something that will help us identify those things. So I would like to encourage all parents who are watching right now and who will see this later, make sure that while it was going, I snapped my picture so that I can make sure I do this for all 3 of my learners, because one of the things that I have prayed about constantly for my children is, how do I make sure that, because initially when I started homeschooling, it was to make sure they weren't left behind for any reason, that they were never, if they had to go to a classroom, that they wouldn't be one of those kids that was left behind because they didn't understand something or they weren't able to grasp a concept. I'm able to learn how my child learns and then apply whatever means and methods I have at my disposal. But the most important word I heard you say, Dr. Amy, was discipleship. What we are doing, and I even read or it may have been a meme, I'm not sure, but it said that the most important disciples are the ones around your dining room table. And when you talk about being able to do this in the comfort of your home, where your child is relaxed, where they're in an environment that is safe for them, and it may, because sometimes going to centers are intimidating for some kids, and it could add to the anxiety, but in this way, you give the child an opportunity to, at their pace, gain understanding, get the one-on-one, get the assistance that they may need. And that, I can tell you, I will be definitely signing up. I am really excited about this for my whole household and yours. So if you're watching from wherever you're watching from, and if you need any assistance in this capacity, LearningRx is offering free cognitive assessments for your children, a $100 value, and that's the price tag. But really, what you gain from doing it has no price. There is nothing we could put on giving our children the whatever will be the maximum for their output in or gaining their understanding and increasing their comprehension around the concepts that they are learning on a daily basis. So thank you guys so much for that. And our last question was just to share success stories that you guys have experienced in your time doing these programs.
Yeah. So my favorite success story is really with my own child. And so when my youngest child, Evan, was in 4th grade, he could not even spell his own name. He spelled phonetically. And I can remember standing in the hallway during open house night, and I was reading this story that he had tried to write. And he spelled his name, his middle name is William, Wylyum. And as I read through this 4th grader's story that looked like a kindergartner had written it, I stood in the hallway of that school crying, because I'm a former teacher. I'm a former curriculum specialist. I'm a cognitive psychologist. What has happened, right? And so he said to me, he was bullied because of his inability to write, and his self-esteem was so low. And he said, "Mom, if they gave grades for making friends, I would get a D-." And it broke my heart. And so I had just started working for LearningRx as the research director. And so I said, I'm going to try the reading program with my youngest because he seems like the perfect candidate. And I put him in the program, and I don't remember what his test scores were because I didn't care. What I cared about was my child could not spell when we started, and he could spell when we finished. And by 7th grade, he was in gifted and talented language arts. And as a 9th grader, tested into college level English.
Wow.
So he went to college instead of high school. And as a homeschooler, and actually I did some unschooling along with that, but sorry, my nose is running, y'all.
The pollinating has begun.
Right. He went to college, got an A in English 101, an A as a 9th grader in high school.
9th grader.
Right. So this is from 4th grade, couldn't spell his own name, to a 9th grader getting an A in English 101 at the college level. His self-esteem skyrocketed. He is now a brain trainer. He's a master brain trainer for LearningRx in Colorado, sailing through as a music performance major in school. Just, that's my favorite success story.
It's a good one.
So my favorite success story, people come to us and say, is high school too late? Right, with a struggling learner. And I had a 11th grader come to me struggling in math, couldn't pass the statistics curriculum that her mom was doing for her. And they were frustrated. They'd had tutor after tutor. They had switched curriculum after curriculum to try to find something that this child could respond to and just pass a couple of courses, because her dream was to go to college and to be a meteorologist. I thought that was pretty advanced, but it was her calling it, like, for 11th grader. So they enrolled her in our math program, and we had a successful outcome. She was able to pass statistics, and right, I've worked with hundreds of families, so they were an up and out kind of thing. Once we remediate skill, we get to goal, we send you to the world, and the next guy's up in the chair. And so I lose track of families as they go off in life. Well, 6 months ago, I turned on my TV, and there she was.
As a meteorologist?
She was my local weather girl. Like, there she was on TV. And so I contacted the station and I said, oh my God, I've got to will you come in? Can we video? Can we tell your story? And she told me that after passing math, she got into Virginia Tech and got into the meteorological program, and then got a job, first job somewhere else. Then she got, the weather people get transferred all over. She got transferred to Charlottesville. And I said, can I please tell your story? And she said, I've signed a contract. My image and likeness is owned by the TV station. I cannot say one thing. And I was like, oh my God, this is the best story in the world. I cannot use it. And so as brain trainers, we have to be comfortable that we create life-changing things, and then they go pursue their calling. And all we want is a postcard or to turn on a TV and there's one of our guys. And that's why we do what we do. Mm-hmm. And so anyway.
And the interesting thing is these sound like amazing, almost unbelievable kind of stories, but we've worked with over 130,000 people. Over 130,000 people. And this is the type of story that we hear all day, every day in our centers around the country, all day, every day. It's really cool. And we have the research that backs up what we do too, the peer-reviewed research. So.
Well, I am unashamed in my tears because what these stories provide is hope. Hope for your children, those who are watching and who will see it. Hope for myself that what we're investing in our children is worth it. What you guys have done to build these programs, to figure it out, and I have to believe it is led by the Lord, to give the insight and the understanding into what he created in the human mind and our psyche and how we grow and understand and think and develop. And you guys have blended all of these things together where children who may not in another setting have had a fighting chance, but because that parent took that time, because you guys are investing your time, using your own children as the guinea pigs and seeing beautiful outcomes, because that story is amazing. And it gives me the hope that for my own children, I am one day gonna, as the Lord gives us the time to see it, I'll get to see that return on investment. I'll get to see that reward of my child succeeding in whatever it is that they want to do. You know, even if it's not, like you said, the on TV and your image and likeness is owned, but you know, the brain trainer who's behind the scenes and now is doing for other kids what helped him to thrive and prosper after not being able to truly read and comprehend at 4th grade. And so there you have it, folks. LearningRx is, as I have learned tonight, one of the most amazing programs that we have, one of the most amazing sponsors that we have for convention. And if you are on the fence, you should not be anymore. That was a pretty definitive way to learn about what they do and understand that all of your children, special needs or not, can benefit from the programs and processes that they have fine-tuned and tested over years to develop. And is there anything else you guys would like to share with our hearers?
We are going to be at convention. So come to my keynote on Thursday. I have a couple other workshops that I'm doing on Friday, and I'll be at the booth with Dargan. My husband comes with me every year too. He sits on our scientific advisory board, but he loves to tell stories of people that he's worked with too on this. So we'll be there. So come and ask us all the questions that you could possibly think of.
And Dargan, we'll see you at LearningRx.
I just want everyone to know you're not alone. And our job is to unlock the potential and to make you successful as an educator, because we strengthen the skills that allow your child to access the curriculum you're exposing to them. And so we're not replacing you. We're not putting you down. You're not a failure. And for, again, I've worked with hundreds and hundreds over the last 15 years, and I see so many home educators churning and chewing themselves up, switching through curriculums, trying to find something that their child would respond to, and basing their own success and their own value on whether that child does that, when the problem is cognitive. It's processing.
It's the brain, not the books.
It's not the books and the brain. And so they beat their head against the wall. And I just want, you don't have to keep going through that cycle. And so at least learn what your child's strengths and weaknesses are. If you want to do something about it, that's up to you. But at least understand it's not you. It's their brain.
Well, I've known about the program for several years, but life got in the way. So now finally getting to this for my daughter. I thought we needed to live near a center. I'm sad for the lost time for my daughter, but these testimonies give me hope.
And we work with people that are in their 90s. It is never too late.
Because as what it sounds like to me is, even if they've graduated, these programs are still available, and you can go and do the assessment, get the training, sign up for the programs, right? And
as parents, you may figure out that you need it yourself. Right?
So apple doesn't fall.
Chances are one of you also has ADHD, right?
I mean, I'm going to do it for myself.
we work with lots of middle-aged adults who are trying to hold on to their cognitive skills. Well, they're at the height of their careers. They don't want to lose that, right? I mean, never too late.
That'd be me.
I know Dargan keeps saying, Dr. Amy, come let us train you.
I do the training 3 times a week, so I practice what I preach.
Oh, well then, you got another middle-aged one here. I'm going to definitely do it for myself, because if nothing else, owe it to myself to make sure I'm operating at the cognitive function that I should be at the young, ripe age of 45. And then I give it to my children, because you just said the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. You don't know what you don't know, and you can only give what you have. And if you don't have something, or if you don't know it, then this is a way that you can increase your capacity as a parent, I think, to do it for yourself. And then, of course, to do it for your children, you increase their capacity. And there literally is no limit to what they can do. So I am so grateful to you guys for being here tonight. Thank you for joining us in the show. Thank you all for being here tonight. If you have any questions, you'll be able to talk right to Dargan at the Leader Life. You'll be able to see Dr. Amy, and possibly Dargan will be at HEAV's convention June 5th through the 7th, guys. Go ahead and register. Thank you again. Thank you many times over. Y'all have a wonderful evening.
You too. Thanks for having us tonight.